Made it to the top of Wesser. Let's see how these stairs look and see if I feel like climbing them. I'm not usually a climber of fire towers. All right, I walked up to the base of this tower, which is high enough for me. Pretty good views from the base of the tower. I'm gonna head on down to the Wesser shelter, which is about 3/4 of a mile. Probably taking a lunch break there. I'm almost all the way to Wesser shelter. I'm stopping here for water at this little spring on the side of the mountain. It's got a pipe on it, but it looks like it used to be a stone boxed spring. But this is eroded away from however it was mounted before. Stone or concrete, I can't really tell. I mean, it looks like it might have been hewn from stone. Just taking a lunch break at the Wesser shelter. But I've got 5 miles to go after this, so if I leave by 2:30, I should be there by 5. Is it that late already? I don't know. I didn't get started till 10, so I've come 6 miles already, so I'm more than halfway. I was looking at the AT Hiker heat map earlier, and you know they have all these caveats on it that it's not real time and it's based on statistics, past years and self-reporting and all that. But what's funny is if you look on there, there's a swatch of orange that looks like it's entering the Smokies or in the first half of the Smokies, and there's a huge swatch of red from Springer all the way up to like Franklin, but there's this little gap of light yellow like between the Smokies stretch and the Springer to Franklin stretch that is very thin. I feel like that's kind of the lull I'm in right now. I've hardly seen any hikers in the last couple of days. In a sense, it's kind of lonely. Me and Big Tuna, who I first met before my Franklin Zero, the day and a half before that, have kind of been keeping pace with each other the last couple of days. But other than that, I've seen a few hikers slack packing. I've seen a couple of hikers that are much faster or much, taking bigger mile days. Kind of overtake me, but people I had never seen before. But the big group I was kind of with for a few days in North Georgia seems to have gone on. I mean, I might catch up to some of them eventually when they take their zeros or things like that. But last few days since Franklin, I haven't really seen anybody. Much less people I've met before on trail. But, I'm sure it comes and goes. I just no longer feel like I'm in the middle of a little bubble. And for a few days there, it felt like I was. Upon leaving Wesser Bald Shelter, It's about a mile of like a little ups and downs, which net out to 0 altitude, total altitude lost or gained. And then it's a 4-mile descent down to Rufus Morgan shelter. I've been climbing along and down this ridge. It's got views in both directions, but this is about as wide as it is. It drops straight down on both sides. Not straight, but you know, steeply down on both sides. One of the, not the high point in the foreground, but in the distance, right there, is Cheerwell Bald, which is like a day after tomorrow. That's pretty incredible to think. This outcropping right here from this angle looks quite spectacularly daunting. Judging by the way the background moves against it, I feel like we're on a tip of a cliff or something. I'm gonna put my phone away. Hello. Taking a break. It's been an hour and a half since I left the shelter for my lunch break, and I think I've got about an hour to go. The landscape has been bizarre. I've hiked this section before, but it's been a long time ago, and it's the middle of summer, so there are leaves on the trees, and none of this is ringing a bell. I feel like this is all brand new to me. You know, that boxed spring by right before Wesser shelter rings a bell. I feel like it was intact, or I remember a boxed spring on this hike. But man, woods with leaves on the trees versus this kind of lunar landscape, it's just night and day. I can see hillsides on the other side, you know, valleys below, all that, and the trees just feel kind of bleak and desolate and stripped. That little ridge I came down after the Wesser shelter, where I was just clambering down boulders with sheer drop-offs on either side. None of that is in my memory of having done this hike before. The stone trough for that box spring kind of does, except I remember the one I remember was intact and surrounded by woods. It's really uncanny, this experiencing it this way. Anyway, I got 2 more miles to plug on to Rufus Morgan shelter, and I'll be doing that momentarily. You can see it there behind me. I was just showing that use of a little rhododendron leaf or magnolia, whatever you can find that's rigid enough, but those work great as a little spout to turn what would be a dripping spring into something you can fill a bottle with. So this is the Rufus Morgan tent site and shelter site just after sunset. Got 1 hammock, 2 tents. The shelter is up that little draw there to the right.